Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure for me for having the chance of meeting you again in our seventh meeting. Today, we will discuss our seventh topic before having the middle test next week. Today's topic is about understanding report text. Okay, please allow me to present our first part of discussion today about the definition of report text. Report text is a type of text in English that describes the details of an object. Details in this text are scientific details, which include the description of objects, both physical and non-physical, from scientific facts about the object. So please underline or be focused about the bold sentences here. Report text is a type of text in English that describes the details of an object. As I said previously or last week maybe, the difference between report text and descriptive text is, or in which report text describes, okay, an object in general. Meanwhile, descriptive text describes an object in detail. So that is the difference between both of them. Next, okay. The second one, I'd like to tell you about social function of report text. After knowing about the definition of report text, and now we will talk about the social function of it. The purpose of a report text is to present information about something generally. It generally describes the way things are with reference to a range of natural, man-made, and social phenomena in our environment, such as mammals, the planets, rocks, lands, countries of region, cultures, transportations, and so on. So I'd like to highlight the main purpose of a report text is to present information about something generally, not specifically, generally, okay? That's the point of the purpose of a report text. Next. Okay, the next slide will tell you about the general characteristics of report text. The characteristic of a report text can be seen from its generic structures and linguistic features. Those characteristics will be explained below. Okay. The first characteristic is about the generic structures. For example, title. Okay. A title of a report text indicates the topic of the text, and it is a very general thing. So when you want to make or create the title of the report text, it must be written in a very general thing. And then the second one, general classification. A general classification is a part that state classification of general aspect of things, such as animals, public places, plants, etc. It will be discussed in general. So when we talk about the general classification about the characteristic of report text, it is about what we call it as the state classification of general aspect of things. Like I said before, such as animals, public places, plants, etc. And the third one is the description. Okay, this part gives describing of the things which will be discussed in detail in terms of part and their function, qualities, and behavior. Okay, as you can see here, the last one is about the description. It is about the describing of the thing which will be discussed in detail, but not too detailed like in descriptive text. Although it is detailed, but not too detailed or totally detailed like we have in descriptive text. Okay, the next one, we will talk about the linguistic features of report text. The first one is focus on generic participant. Report text always introduces group or general aspect and focus on general nouns such as platypus, bees, and etc. Okay, here focus on generic participant. Okay, as you can see here, it is focus or introduce of a group or general aspect of general nouns such as platypus and bees. Okay, not in specific nouns. And then the second one in linguistic features, we have a report text uses relating verb and action verb. For example, relating verb, crocodiles are reptile. So the verb has the correlation with the class of noun or thing. As you can see, crocodiles are a class, the class or classes of reptile. And then action verb, birds fly in the sky. Okay, as you can see, the use of fly represent the action or the use of the action verb itself. And then the third one, report text uses of simple present tense. For example, platypus lives in streams. Male platypus does not need any brood, etc. So here, as you can see, the use of present verb is really dominant. Okay, like you can see here, lives represent the use of simple present verb or present verb, and then does not need. Okay, although it is a kind of negative verb, it belongs to the simple present verb. So a report text must use the simple present tense verb. And then the language used in a report text is a scientific language. For example, water contains oxygen and hydrogen, etc. So, dominantly, or what we call it here, specifically, report tag shows the use of scientific words or scientific terms. For example, as you can see here, water contains oxygen and hydrogen, or maybe, for example, like the other substances, okay, maybe chemical substance, okay, and then what we call it here, carbon monoxide, okay, like that, okay, maybe the gas contains carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, okay, like that. So when you want to apply a report tag in your scientific research, okay, you are what we call it, insisted to use the scientific language too. So it is what we call it, the uniqueness of report text. It usually uses the scientific language to report what we call it, the information, okay, the information that wants to inform to the readers. And then a report text uses conditional and logical connectives such as but, in other hand, etc. So the use of connectives is really dominant, or what we call it here, the use of connective, maybe what we call here the conjunction, like but, in other hand, are really needed to make the sentences in report text understandable. And shows the, what we call it, the scientific information has the correlation with the, what we call it here, the information and the way of using the connective itself. Okay, after having what we call it about the previous one, now we will talk about the differences between report text and descriptive text. Okay, as I said before, there is essential difference, or a slight difference between report text and descriptive text. Okay, here I'd like to tell you some text types are quite difficult to differ, such a report and a descriptive text have the similarities in the social function and generic structure. However, if they are analyzed carefully, the slight difference between the two text types will reveal. Okay, although they have the similarities, they also have the different. The purposes of the two texts are to give the lived description of the object or participant. Both of a report and a descriptive text try to show rather than tell the reader about the factual condition of the object. Readers by themselves will catch the impressive point of the object through that showing writing style. What makes different between report and descriptive text is the scope of the written object. Okay, so in specific or specifically, what I said before about in general and in detail, it talks about the scope of the written object. If we talk about bicycle, for example, it belongs to a report text. It will talk about bicycle in general in terms of its part, cycle strength, and function for certain people or other general characters of bike. In the other hand, descriptive text will convey more focus. For example, my bicycle with its specific characters such as color, length, wheel, and style. So here, when I deliver or when I over, okay, the description about the bicycle, when I talk about the bicycle in general, okay, I am telling you about the report text. Okay, in other hand, if I tell you about bicycle, okay, in detail, such as what we call it here, with its specific characters such as color, length, wheel, style, I am talking about the descriptive text. So by giving the example, like I said before, I also tell you about the different of or the spatial characteristic of report text and descriptive text. So in short, a report text describes the way of certain things and frequently refer to phenomenon of nature, animal, and scientific object. Mostly, a report is written after getting careful observation. This scientific and technical sense makes clearer difference from descriptive text. The way of descriptive text in showing things is based on the objective fact of the thing. It describes the specific thing simply as the thing is. Okay, that's the important point of differentiating between report text and descriptive text. So, as I said before, I'd like to emphasize it again. Descriptive text is about describing an object in detail. Meanwhile, report text is about telling an object in general. Okay. Next slide will tell you about the example of report text. Okay. I prepare you about the example of the report text about Venice. So I think by reading this text, you can find out the difference between report text and the descriptive text. Maybe from the generic structure and the detail of the characteristic of it. So I think this text or this example is really useful in improving or what we call it enhancing your ability in understanding the report text itself. So here, from the first paragraph, as you can see, it tells about Venice. Venice is what we call it a part of Italia. So Venice is a city in northern Italy. Okay, It is the capital of region Veneto. Together with Padua, the city is included in the Padua-Venice metropolitan area. Venice has been known as the Queen of the Adriatic, city of water, city of bridges, and the city of light. The city stretches across 170 small islands in the marshy Venetian lagoon along the Adriatic Sea in northeast Italy. Okay, here from the first paragraph, you can identify about the Venice in general, not in specific, okay, not in detail, okay. We can analyze or we can check the use of what we call it here, the verb, and then the explanation about Venice. The writer wants to tell it in general, not specifically. Maybe if it is described as descriptive text, it will be, okay, Venice is a city in northern Italy. It is 4 kilometers from the capital of Italy or Rome. Okay, and the city is very beautiful with long river and romantic ambience near it, okay, or by the river. So if you want to change it into descriptive text, you have to tell Venice itself in more detail. Okay. Well, I think that's all about my explanation today regarding to the report text. And now, as usual, at the end of the lecture, I will give you the homework. So there are 2 questions that are related with the example of the text before or the report text. So number 1, please analyze the general characteristic of the example of the report text about Venice. And the second one, and also please analyze the linguistic features of the example of the report text above. So you have 2 assignments that should be done correctly, and I hope all of these assignments or your homework will be finished last week. Okay, will be submitted at least next week before our middle test started. Well, I think that's all for today. And at the end of this lecture, I'll send the link of the attendance. And so that please check your attendance list, or please check your chat column. Okay, the first one is for the executive class. Meanwhile, the second one is for the regular students. Okay, have you got the link? Yes. Hello.
Yeah, can see.
Okay, and now please fulfill your identity into one of them. And I think that's all for today. before I end the meeting, I'd like to summarize or make the conclusion of our discussion today. Report text is a kind of text that describes about an object in general. So there are some general characteristics and linguistic features about the report text that are really important in developing your text or your scientific writing in what we call it in your study. Well, I think that's all for today. See you next week. Thanks for your kind attention. Goodbye.